What is happening in France could easily be replicable in different parts of the world, and it's on that, essentially, that basis and that understanding of what Macron is doing and how Islamophobes can use that as a template, that has been a means in which a common concern has been a way to unite Muslims that has essentially formulated in this UN complaint. One is on the basis of a violation by the French state of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. The second is specific to the treatment of Muslim children, and that is in violation of the United Nations Convention of Rights of the Child. And there's a whole raft of information and news and evidence that's backing these two complaints. So to give you some context, one is the introduction of IDs, number IDs for children, who so the government can track and, if need be, crack down on parents who may be homeschooling. And given that this is in the framing of extremism, we know very well, after 20 years of Islamophobia, extremism is a code word for Muslim. And also the separatism bill that's being pushed by the Macron administration through French Parliament. One of those, a part of that bill is to enforce state-approved imams. This is absolutely not the case when it comes to other faiths in France. And so it's completely singling out and making Islam as an example. And by having the UN complaint, we keep this on the agenda and we keep on holding him to account in some way, that what he is doing is not just essentially discriminatory, but highly Islamophobic, highly racist, to the point that is actually violating human rights on a state level. So this is not even on a organizational or an individual level. On a state level, human rights are being breached. So just because a Western nation has rubber stamped this doesn't mean that we should essentially, as Muslims, allow that to happen. So the second point is that we want Muslims to understand that they must get their voices heard. They must organize against this on a state, on a national, and on, where necessary, on a global level. The Islamophobia is now global, and this is an example of one of the actions that we can do as Muslims. But thirdly, we want the UN to really look at this, examine this through the letter and the spirit of international law, and come to a verdict of what they want to do with France.